problem here with the stream. Now it's corrected. Alright folks, now we are live right now. I apologize for that. Most of our YouTubes are set up to go live automatically. Tonight was not, so you missed a little bit of information. But anyhow, thank you for joining us here at Daytona International Speedway for the Racers Elite Next Gen Cup Series. Once again, thank you so much for being part of the Sim Racing Media family. Here we are at Daytona International. You see these beautiful Cup cars getting ready to roll off. We have a full field here tonight. This is my Racers Elite debut. My name's Jonathan Leach. Joining me in the booth is Daniel Paulus. Daniel, I know you just said it, but I'm going to have you tell me again. Tell us how ready you are for some great racing and a full field at Daytona.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm pumped up. Tonight we're at Daytona International Speedway, the World Center of Racing. We got these wonderful next-gen cars out, and I can't wait to get this green flag.
Yeah, this is going to be an excellent race. We're going to take just a couple of moments. Let's look at qualifying. Bill Hales and Diego Rodriguez are going to be row number 1, with row 2 being Ryan Coker and Nigel Christensen. I noticed a really awesome Pepsi paint scheme for that 24 machine. That's my favorite 24 scheme, if I might add. Andrew Teft, Sam Kolas, perhaps? Row 3. Row 4 is Alan Dobbs and Lucas Seamers. Alex Teft starts 9th. Kirby Wainscott's 10th. 11th belongs to Kinsley Smith. David Imai is going to be starting P12. Carrying on a little bit further here because we have a full field of drivers. John Schoenblacker, Brandon Honeycutt, Ira Kohlhaas, AJ Cawthon. Starting 17th will be Truth Hoke, Gordon Spain next to him. Paul Shaw and Brad Hayes will be row number 10. Row 11, Dennis Kane and Austin Smith. Zach Lockett, Corey Crowell, excuse me. Noah Tansman, Brandon Poffenbarger, Joshua Neal, Jeremy Carter, Thomas Stanley, Jason Bottoms, Dwayne McMahon, or Mahan, Michael Smith. That's going to be our field. 31 drivers. That pace car comes off, Daniel. I hope you're ready for a show. Wipe the visor, strap the seatbelt. It's time to get going. It's showtime at Daytona.
Oh,
Side by side. Go ahead, Daniel.
I'm pumped up as you see the field making its way into turn 1 there, with the 43 there, leading the pack, coming in turn 2.
And you see them side by side up front, the 24 and the 53. Outside lane, not as organized as the inside lane. It's still early, plenty of time to sort things out. Well, like I mentioned earlier, beautiful race cars, and we're under the lights. Can't beat it. Look at the lane change right there. I believe that was the number 30. Yes, it is the number 30 of Sam Kohlhaas moving from the top side to the low side. He's going to now lead the bottom lane as we're about to knock off one lap here at Daytona.
Look at the 24 there, still leading the pack, running that high line right there. Right behind him is the 18 on the inside. You see right there, they are coming really quick here. 24 is going to have to make a decision to block. As you see the inside, he's going to have a run.
Now, I'm not so sure about blocking just about yet. Might want to be a little bit lenient, but you know, this is Daytona, and there's normally two strategies. There's either one, attack, 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 or there's the second one, just fall onto the back, just hang on to the draft. And you see that with some of these drivers. You're looking at Austin Smith, Corey Crowell, Joshua Neal, Noah Tansman. These guys are just kind of hanging on to the draft, just staying there. They know that something can happen, and it can happen at any time at Daytona. But what Michael tells me, the money that is that these guys are very solid. They do a really good job. They are great racers. They have excellent sportsmanship. And in that respect, I would be surprised if we see a lot of trouble during this race tonight.
As you see the 18 machine there, giving a bump to the 24 of Diego right now. Diego controlling the field. On the inside line, we have the 30 of Sam Kohlhaas and the 53 right behind him as well.
Go a little bit further back here. You're looking at 22nd place, Joshua Neal. Really excellent paint scheme right here. I like those different contrast blues. 82 machine. He's kind of the last car in this main pack, and then you got to come back to Jeremy Carter, who's leading the second pack of drivers. Not as organized. They're just kind of riding around. And, you know, last night, Daniel, I was on the Roughneck series with Angel Santiago, and someone that you're familiar with. I was covering for you, actually. And they were at the Iracing Super Speedway racetrack. And something that I was able to bring up and wanted to mention, the main difference from Talladega, Daytona, and Iracing Super Speedway is you can kind of be lazy in the corners of Daytona and Talladega. But when you're at the Iracing Super Speedway, you have that excessive banking there that does not give you the opportunity to be lazy into the corners. You've got to be up on that wheel at all times, because when you hit the banking at Iracing Super Speedway, it likes to shoot you up the track. Not as prominent here at Daytona, but still you got to be a little bit ready for it in the draft when you hit the higher banking in the corners, because the car does want to drift up a little bit.
It does, and when you're at Iracing Super Speedway, you have so much movement around you. It is totally different from Daytona and Talladega. You're using your hands a lot more on that steering wheel, and you're running a lot more speed there, so it's going to be a lot harder to control your car, unlike Daytona and Talladega, where you can lean back a little bit, but you still have to do a really good job with your car.
That's some fairly good insight right there in my opinion of that. So taking a second here, going back up towards the front, still fairly sorted. I mean, it's side-by-side racing. Nothing seems excessive to me just yet. Pretty calm as far as things are going right now.
Yeah, I think these drivers, what they're doing right now is trying to feel how their car is handling right now. Is it too loose? Is it too tight? You just want to see how your car's handling. I see drivers that usually start in the front, they drop to the back, just so then they can see how their car handles without the draft, and then when they get into the draft. And then if their car doesn't handle right, they can go to the back, make an adjustment when they come down pit road, and then possibly stay out of the big one here, because we are at Daytona, so that is another advantage there. But you always want to be there towards the end of the race.
Absolutely. You know, I'm putting up a poll right now, and gosh, I hate when I say absolutely. You know, that's something that we need to remove from our vocabulary as broadcasters on sim racing media. The words absolutely are so frustrating, and we say them in absence of a better word. So, the better word's going to be, ladies and gentlemen watching our show, please participate in the poll that I just put in the chat for you guys. How many cautions are going to occur in this race? Like I mentioned, this league is very, very professional, a lot of respect for each other. I expect them to do pretty well, but will there be less than 3, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, or 9 or more? I know last night there was 3 green-white checkered, so that was 3 right there at the end of the race.
We see a lot of green-white checkers here at super speedways, and that's because everybody's fighting for position, trying to get up to the front to possibly win this race, and that's what makes the racing really good here. And you also see a lot of 3-wide action, which is really good.
Yeah, we'll start to see some more 3-wide stuff as this race goes on a little bit further. I don't think we're going to see too much of it early, and that's to be expected at racetracks like this. But let's take a moment to just mention how awesome it is to see a full field like this in iRacing. It's not very common, and it's only a handful of leagues that do this. I can think of a couple. There's the Sunday Night NASCAR series that we do Sunday nights. There's the Extreme Xfinity series that we do on Tuesdays. SCL, the Sunday Cup League races on Mondays. We also have them Tuesday and Wednesdays. And then these guys, Racers Elite, they do an excellent job. They run 3 nights a week with full fields. And I just can't, I just kudos to leadership for the Racers Elite team, and how they do that and created a product and brought together a group of guys, and they're organized and keeping these guys in here. And it really makes for a great show for those that are watching right now. And you guys that are watching, you know, go ahead and just kind of interact with us. We like to talk to you guys and enjoy things with y'all. If when we have the opportunity to interact, we will, because you know here at Daytona, eventually we're going to kind of get a lull in the race. So Daytona, halfway through, guys start to settle down a little bit. Gotta mention a shout out there, Big Ed. I know who you are. Met you in Michigan. I remember that. And Sarah Smile saying it's because this is the best league. And you know what? I might not be able to challenge that anymore, Daniel. Michael's been telling me how great these guys are, and they've been telling us how great they are, but now they're really showing it to me now.
They really are showing us that they are great and talented drivers here. And I've been behind a wheel of a next-gen car here at the super speedways, and let me tell you, it is not easy. When you are bumper to bumper, you have to be so careful, because if you make one wrong tap to the driver in front of you, that car could go around and cause a big one. So you want to be very cautious here on these super speedways, and it is very difficult to control the car here.
So, Daniel, you tell me, if you're racing next gen, Daytona or Talladega, what strategy are
Mhm.
you going to use? I mentioned you there's two. There's attack, 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 and there's also layback and wait. What do you think? What's the best strategy for you?
So the best strategy for me as a driver racing at these super speedways, no matter where it is, Daytona, Iracing, Super Speedway, or Talladega, I like to stay leaned back. I like to stay in the back of the pack, see how my car's handling in the first half of the race, see if I have to make any adjustments when I head down pit road. And I also don't want to get involved in a wreck. You know, you only have so many chances, and if you use all those chances up, you could be done for the night, and that's not what I want to do. I want to stay lean back, see how this race shapes out, try to stay out of the big one, and be there for the end of the race. Hopefully, get the lead and win the race.
Well, that's a pretty solid strategy. I just don't think it works for me. I've found that whenever I'm in the back, it just doesn't really, it just never works out. We were on board with Brad Hayes there for a second, now focusing on Gordon Spain. But I've always found that once you decide you have to drive through the field, you just tend to find trouble. And you know, you have to deal with the more aggressive drivers up front, but it still seems a little bit more controlled. And another thing that I've noticed and learned, and keep in mind, you know, I haven't raced since before May this past year. Um, I think, you know, if you want it, I think there's something to be said about where you are on the racetrack as far as safety as well. And what I mean by that is if you're up high, you have, I feel like you have less options to hide if there's an event. It seems like a lot of wrecks tend to occur and then push out to the outside wall. But if you're down low, you have the option of going high or low and diving all the way down to the middle. As you see that 18, that's Nigel Christensen saying, I've had enough, I'm dropping to the rear, and there's trouble up front.
Oh,
Wow, everybody's going to have a starburst effect. The 24 is coming up the
24.
track. Everybody's going to stay gathered up right here. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to capture what happened there, but I'm going to try. Going to try one more time to back this up and maybe see what occurred. Wow, that was just almost really bad up here. Just a lot of discombobulation, if that's even a word, folks. I know discombobulated is, but I just made up another one. So now you can see right here, things are a little bit more split up. And I did notice some drivers are coming down pit road. Diego Rodriguez, that number 24 machine, he must be pretty banged up if he's on pit road right now. It's been there for 20 seconds. Truth Hoke, right side tires going up. They're there by themselves.
As you see right now, your leader is the 6th car of Andrew Peck. Had a really good start to this race so far. He's up here leading in the top 3 right now. As you see the 30 all over the bumper there, that is Sam Kohlhaas.
I
Right
feel
behind
like
him
that
is
was aggressive right there,
53.
Daniel. I didn't mean to speak over you. That just was exciting. I didn't expect them to kind of jump down like that. That looked very well like we could have had a front of the pack incident only on lap 16, not even a quarter of the way through.
Yeah, I don't know why these drivers are making such aggressive, I mean, moves, because why would you want to try to cause an incident early on? We got a long way to go yet. We're only on lap 16, so, I mean, time to relax a little bit.
Yeah, and we can see that now as they're a little bit more single file. And there's kind of multiple packs, as you can see right here. You've got these guys kind of led by, you got Kirby Wainscott is the leader of this pack right here. They're going by a lap car machine. I'm not exactly sure. I think that's Nigel Christensen that they're going by. So you got those guys. They're almost 10 seconds behind the first group. And actually, they're about 10 seconds behind Austin Smith, Noah Tansman, and then another 6 seconds behind the first group. So we're looking at almost 17 seconds separating some of these packs, which is large, and that happened quickly. So that really does show you the level of different strategies. And another thing about sitting in the back, you're kind of praying and hoping there's just gonna be a caution, and there may not be.
The most difficult part about super speedway racing, John, is when the packs get separated. Sometimes we see those packs get separated for 15 to 20 laps and they make it all back into one big pack again. But then also, once that second half of the pack starts losing the draft from the first half of the pack, they're going to start separating them more and more. So that's what's really difficult about super speedway racing. You don't want to make mistakes. And I'm going to also point out here, when you're coming down the pit road, stay as close as possible, because when you exit pit road, you can lose your partner or your drafting pack, and you could be all the way out by yourself.
Yeah, and that's definitely a danger here at this track for something like that occurring. All right, a quarter of this race is now complete. Andrew Teft is out front. Sam Kohlhaas, P2. Got a couple different lanes right here. I imagine we're going to see some pitting here in the very near future.
I expect pit road to open pretty soon for some of these drivers coming down. I expect them to come down around maybe another 10 or 15 laps from now. They'll come down pit road, get some fuel, get some service that they need done on their cars. And right now, look at the 15 having a huge run on the outside there. That is Hensley Smith right now in that 15 machine, trying to work the outside line, trying to get up to that leader.
Just kind of letting these guys show us what they're made of at this point, and gosh, I'm looking at these gaps right now. So there's a group of cars, about 8 cars that are 10 seconds off the lead. Make that 9 cars. And then you go back all the way to Brandon Poffenbarger. That's a group of 5 cars. And they are 22 seconds off the lead. And then you got a couple other cars that are a lap down. You got Nigel Christensen, who's kind of with those guys. Diego Rodriguez is all on his own in that 24 Pepsi machine. Gotta remember that he was up front. He was competing, and something up front happened, and that just kind of caused a lot of trouble.
It did. And as you see right there, the 30 of Kohlenhaas giving the bump to the 6 of Teft there, still holding the lead strong, but that 15 was dead even with the 6 not too long ago. He just needs to get that energy and that push to get back up there.
It sure does. So I think we're going to be seeing pit stops here in the near future. Daniel and I are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with you guys. You'll still see the action, you just won't hear us. Alright, joining back with you now, lap 27 of 80. We're almost to the lap 30 mark here for the Iracing Racers Elite Nextgen Cup Series. Still some really excellent racing. Definitely appreciate those that are hanging out to watch this event, and really thank you for watching all three of their races. I know you guys are here pretty regularly for these guys, and that really does make a difference. And you get to kind of see that this. When you're around, you start to realize this isn't just a video game to these guys. There's some real competition, and these guys and gals that race spend time practicing to get better, and it doesn't show it right there because we've got a wreck down the front stretch. And that's going to be our first caution. Don't be changing your votes, folks. That's going to be our first caution. We're going to try to see how it came to be real fast. Try to see if we can capture this. A little bit of three-wide action up front. Multiple cars end up spinning around. The 15, the 42 involved. Lucas Seamers, Kinsley Smith. There's another angle to see how that occurred. There you go, Daniel. There's our first caution. I reckon everybody's going to group up and come down pit road. Now they have the option here at lap 30 to get 4 tires and fuel. Maybe some will take 2. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm expecting these drivers to come down pit road, especially those drivers that were caught up in this first incident of the night, get some repair damage done, get some good tires on, and especially get fuel because I know these super speedways, they do come down to fuel strategy a lot. And I've seen drivers lose based off of fuel strategy. So we don't want to see that happen tonight, of course. But I do expect them to come down pit road, get service, tires, and fuel.
Yeah, 4 tires, fuel. That's kind of the name of the game at this point, and tires do make a difference. Let's take a second here. We need to pick a driver to bring in and talk about. Um, let's see here. I like the number 4, Dennis Kane. He's up 16 positions here. So we're gonna wait till he comes down pit road. I don't want to grab him while he's trying to get into his pit stall. I don't want to be the reason why his pit stop doesn't go so well. But let's see if he's available for us to reach out to and pull in here in just a couple moments. Let's see here. Got a full field of drivers. Again, taking a look to see if he is available. Doesn't look like he... Yes, he is available. All right, so we're going to go ahead in just a second, bring him in. He's coming out of his pit stall. Again, that's number 4, Dennis Kane. So we're going to go ahead and bring him on up to the booth. Dennis Kane, this is Jonathan Daniel in the booth. Do you hear us?
Hey, how's it going?
So far, so good. Having a really excellent show. I'm enjoying this in this full field. So lap 30 of 80, come down pit road. Looks like you took fuel and tires, and you're the biggest mover so far, up 16 positions. What's your strategy to try to come away with the best finish or victory tonight?
Well, a little disappointed I had to use my fast repair there. Got clipped a little too hard. Really didn't want to spend the time on pit road to fix it. Took 4 tires there. Probably the last time I'll take left sides all race. Try to keep track position, stay up front.
All right, so you're kind of more of the stay up front, attack, attack, attack. So before we get going, I asked the viewers how many cautions that they expected in this race. Less than less than 3, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, 9 or more. 6 to 8 seems to be the consensus. 12 votes. What do you think?
Well, the way it's going so far in the race, I'm going to say 3 to 5.
Yeah, 3 to 5 seems to be the winning number. Again, don't change your votes, folks. Don't do it. But all right, Dennis. Good luck to you. We're gonna keep an eye on you, and it seems like you're doing a solid job so far. I'm gonna send you back to the chat, and enjoy your race.
Cool, thank you.
All right, Daniel. So there's some thoughts right there from Dennis Kane, driver of the number 4 machine. He's currently P5. Pace lights are out, getting ready to go back to racing.
Again, back to racing indeed. As you see, the pace car lights are off. We are going to get a great restart here. We're going to see who can get that launch, and it's all about the launch. And I want to tell you why. Because if you can get a launch and get in front of both rows, even inside and outside, and you can control that field for one lap, you can stay out there for a long time. But, you just never know because everybody's going to be anxious just trying to get up through those gears and try to control the lead here.
Yeah, we're going to see that happen pretty quickly, I think, this time around. Coming, not quite done yet. Still got a little ways to go. You see drivers back here trying to get prepared and ready, catching back up to the field. Looks like the Skittles machine back there. That's, gosh, is he back on the lead lap? He is. Nigel Christensen and that Skittles machine back on the lead lap. Not really driving on the road. I'm not sure what he's doing down there, but he's back on the lead lap, which is going to make a difference. And, we've got 32 people watching us right now. So really shout out to you guys. Thanks for being here. It's an awesome Thursday night. And, you know, when Michael was asking if I could cover for him, I was like, oh man, I'm packing. I got to go on a trip. I've got other things that I'm working on for sim racing media. And I tell you what, Daniel, I'm glad that I showed up for this. This is outstanding.
It's outstanding indeed, because like I love watching these cup drivers race around these tracks. It doesn't matter what style track, they always perform to the high expectations that they should be, and they just put on a great performance for these race fans.
They sure do. Alex Teft, Andrew Teft rolling into the restart zone on the throttle. We're back to racing, lap 32 of 80 for the Racers Elite Next Gen Series here at Daytona. Teft with quite a bit of a jump over the other Teft. Bill Hales move him to second now. So you're going to have Teft, Hales, Teft, Dennis Kane as your top four. And then back here, you got side by side with Brad Hayes and Sam Collis. That's number 30 and 27. Positions 5th and 6th. A little bit of a wiggle right there. Look at the lights glisten off of those machines as they come down the backstretch.
It's a beautiful sight to see that light reflect off those cars. A lot of great paint schemes here tonight from Daytona International Speedway, and a lot of great racing action too.
That is really great to see these awesome paint schemes. And again, you know, night racing is just so much fun. I don't understand why we race during the day. It's kind of like, why are there football games during the day? Something about major sports under the lights, just like you did at high school, is just amazing. And even for sim racing, it's just the aesthetic of the nighttime and the lights. Everything's lit up. I thoroughly enjoy it. Maybe there should be an all-night race league out there. I think that would be a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun to race under the lights during the nighttime. I don't know. I think it's just the atmosphere. You're seeing the reflections come off the cars when they go by you. You see the sparks flying on the track when they're wrecking and whatnot. And I just find that very... Whoa! I find that very... I don't know, I just find it very fun and enjoying to just watch these races during the nighttime instead of the daytime.
Yeah, they're just so much brighter, and I really enjoy that. Something I want to mention as we're sidestepping just a little bit, which is just fine. That lower lane is really organized compared to that high lane. The high lane, not so much over here. Well, you know, as fast as I said that, they got organized, and here they come on the high side, led by that 29 machine of, I don't really know how to pronounce the last name still, but Ira Kohlhaas, being pushed by, looks like none other than, I think that's going to be Brandon Honeycutt in the number 13 machine. I'm right. Look at that really awesome paint scheme. It's kind of like an old STP sort of color scheme. Try to get a closer look at that car. I'm not really able to get much closer than we are right now. But perhaps maybe we can get a better angle at some point. But it's almost to the halfway mark, so it's about time we maybe go through the field of these drivers. And I know you're not going to be able to see it, but I'm going to put their information on screen for us to mention. Alex Teft currently leading in that 43 machines out of Hope Valley, Rhode Island. Following closely behind him is Bill Hales. He's out of Mount Washington, Kentucky. Andrew Teft is also out of Hope Valley, Rhode Island. I wonder why. Same last name. Dennis Kane's out of Detroit. Dennis Kane out of Detroit. If you did not know Dennis, I'm 4 hours north of you in a small town called Alpena, Michigan. Yes, don't know how I ended up here, but here I am. 5th place is going to be John Schoenbachler. 6th place, Ira Kohlhaas out of Woodlawn, Tennessee. Brandon Honeycutt, who we mentioned, is kind of back and forth, 6th and 7th. Joshua Neal, up 17 positions, is out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Kinsley Smith, Tarboro, North Carolina, currently in the 11th and 12th place positions, kind of flip-flopping back and forth as the two lanes go on. Alan Dobbs driving the number 22nd out at Fort Payne. I'm not sure if that's a town or an actual Army installation. Corey Krause out of Oak Harbor, Ohio. Starting to see a Midwestern trend here for the Racers Elite Series. Looking at the number 23, Austin Smith. Now this one's another Midwesterner, Burlington, Wisconsin. And that's Austin Smith up 6 positions since the start of this race. And that 23 Milwaukee machine. You know, that's funny. You know, Wisconsin native driving a Milwaukee machine. Ryan Coker here in the 44, that all blue machine. Currently scored 17th. Was up front early. He's down 14 positions. I believe he had a little bit of trouble when that first incident had happened. Here we got one out of North Carolina again. Dwayne McMahon out of Kannapolis, North Carolina. Currently scored 18th, driving the 87 Toyota. A little further down here, you've got Jeremy Carter, Bloomington, Indiana, another Midwesterner. Nigel Christensen in that 18 machine. Cedar Rapids. You got Paul Shaw out of Pennsylvania, driving the number 25. You've got his Twitch.tv on there, Colbot_2825. I bet he's streaming right now. I don't want to lose our viewers, but if you want to show him some love on Twitch, you can check him out. Again, that's Colbot_2825 for Paul Shaw. Sam Kohlhaas driving the number 30 machine. AJ Cawthon, Rochester Hills, Michigan. So that's another Michigander. I'm starting to see a trend here. Might need to go hang out with some Racers Elite guys, Daniel, since we're all in the same state. Michael Smith out of Burlington, Wisconsin. That's another another one. Austin Smith, Michael Smith, both out of Burlington, Wisconsin.
Wow.
We got one out of Buffalo, Iracing 410. Spring champion Thomas Stanley driving the number 62. Scored P25. He's leading a group of 4. They're on the strategy of staying out of trouble. Right behind him is Gordon Spain. David M.I. out of Ballston Spa, New York, driving the number 51 machine. Jason Bottoms. The number 24, Diego Rodriguez. Unfortunately, he's a few laps down. You've got Truth Hoke, Kirby, Wayne Scott, and that is our field. It took us a few laps to go through the field, not too many. Back up front, not too much has changed. All right, still side by side, not quite for the lead. Got the lower side and the high side right here. And this is just crossed over to the halfway point of this race here. Looking forward to how this is going to go for the rest of the night. Things are only going to get more and more interesting. And you know what? We've also got ourselves a special guest in here, Daniel.
All right.
Hello.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to bring you in more. I lost my train of thought for just a quick moment. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Alan to the booth. Alan is a gentleman interested in joining the SRM team. And, you know, this is what better race than to have 3 of us in the booth temporarily. So we can expect him to be here for the next few laps. Perhaps he wants to stay here and see the end of this one. And, you know, Alan, this one has been really great. Daniel and I have been in for a treat, and I know you've been watching it. So what are some things you've noticed while watching before you hopped on the Citation, landed at Daytona Beach, and jumped in the booth with us?
Oh man, well let's start off by going back to last night. There's a lot of good action last night in the Xfinity race, but
Son, are
these
you okay?
cars are so loose in the draft that the cars are
Braden!
bouncing all over the place. You're dirty air
Are you okay?
constantly. It's a fight. You're
All
not. You're racing the track more than I feel like than you're racing the other guys around you.
Now, do you think that holds true here even with these next-gen machines?
Oh, absolutely. These cars are all over the place. As you see them on your screen, they're back and forth. The drivers are having a time. It's like almost you're on the interstate and you're riding behind a semi truck and you're just in dirty air and it's real windy out. So, going back to earlier when you're asking strategies, so my strategy would be to ride in the back and start working your way forward, hoping you get cautions where you need them at, So I would definitely be riding in the back. Don't push too far. I mean, there's 80 laps and we're 40, just shy of halfway.
And one other thought for you: did you vote on that on the poll? How many cautions we're gonna have?
I did, and I thought there would be more. I mean, these guys are pretty good. I mean,
Well, there's still
you're
time for it to happen. We're not out of the woods yet. We're just past the halfway mark, but I am seeing a lot of respect from these guys, and they're really showcasing their ability and the friendship that they have and the bond that they've made. Daniel,
well,
what
Jim.
surprised you tonight so far?
What surprised me tonight, John, is these drivers. I expected a little more cautions, but I really didn't at the same time, and that's because it's the Cup Series. They have been doing this for so many years now, and they just know how their cars handle here at Daytona. And yeah, I could see it, a driver maybe not knowing how their car handles if they're new to iRacing, but I mean, I didn't expect a lot from these drivers. I expected clean racing, smart moves, don't do anything wrong that's going to upset a driver tonight. And they're proving to us that they are capable of producing excellent racing here at super speedways.
All right, that's some good thoughts. I want to take a moment to forecast out for into next week for this race league right here. There's going to be 21st of November. That's going to be next Tuesday. These guys are going to be at Charlotte. That's going to be a sunset race, 101 laps. Wednesday, they'll be right back at Bristol for 195 laps, another night race. Thursday on Thanksgiving, I'm not sure what that's going to look like just yet. 150 laps at Bristol, non-points. It's a Thanksgiving race at 8 Eastern. I don't expect that to be a very full field for that event, and I'm not sure as far as coverage how that looks like. But we're going to go from a large track in both of the trucks and the Xfinity, not trucks, the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series, and then we're going to come all the way down to a small, short track. So talk about a change going into next week.
Talk about a change indeed. Now, we're going from a super speedway all the way down to a short track. And the best part about Bristol Motor Speedway is you see tight, packed racing between drivers. You see lead changes every turn. You see some drivers get a little upset with each other at the end of the event. But, that's what brings the excitement towards Bristol.
Alan, where would you rather be if you're going to be someone in the booth and on the racetrack? Would you rather be at Bristol or Daytona, or do those swap depending on what you're doing?
Yeah. Oh man, at Bristol, I'd love to be in the booth. That's a headache and a half, man. You close quarters racing, and there's going to be some bent sheet metal and hurt feelings.
There's definitely going to be a lot of hurt feelings, and something about Bristol that I really like is it's a very rhythmic kind of track. Once you get into your rhythm and everybody's into a rhythm, things will go forever. But once things are coming down to the wire and you're not really in a rhythm anymore, as we're looking at Honeycutt, the number 13 driver, decide that he's had enough up front and wants to kind of back up a little bit. Once you get out of your rhythm is when things start happening at Bristol. And in a field like this, if you start in the back, you really are at risk of going a lap down quickly. So if something happens, if you end up, speed on pit road, tail into the longest line, any kind of penalty like that, or you mess up on your pit road and all of a sudden you're last in line, that can bite you, even if you're one of the top drivers in the field.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, to your point, you mentioned that these guys are driving at Daytona with respect. Well, sir, with about 10 to go, you can just throw that R word out the window because that's when things are going to get really dicey up here.
Yeah, I expect to start seeing some of that more and more as this race goes on. I want to thank everybody for watching us again. Got people voting or rooting for the number 4. That's Big Ed in the chat saying, let's go number 4. Another person was rooting for
And
Christensen.
Bristol. I've raced on the dirt side too at Bristol, and it's just as tricky as the asphalt side.
And I want to go back to what John mentioned earlier. Is if you get involved in an incident at Bristol, or you are speeding going down pit road, coming in or going out, and it is a green flag run, you're going to go multiple laps down, and that is really hard to get back once you're multiple laps down at Bristol. And especially, even if you don't have a great qualifying run in the beginning, and you start in the back, you are at very high risk of going laps down. And I'm not talking about one lap, I'm talking about multiple laps, and that's because of the traffic you have to get through. And once you're stuck in that traffic, it's like you can't go anywhere, and you're just spending multiple laps just trying to get around other drivers to get towards the front.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing about Bristol, is it's all about track position there. You want to start up front. You want to, like you said, if you get into a penalty on pit road, or you get caught up in an accident, your day is up, and we got a caution. We got a spinner. The number 44 car just spun it out.
44 car.
I'm going to
That
try to
is
get some.
Ryan Coker.
I'm going to try to catch how that just happened a moment ago. It's unfortunate. Trying to pan over to him real quick.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. But the good thing is as long as he's got his fast repair still, he can still make up time. So he's not out of it by any means, as long as has his fast repair.
I feel like there might have been a little net code involved there. I'm trying to get a better angle at this, perhaps, if we can get one. Let's try to slow this down. Usually hate backing it up like this, but we're trying to actually see what really happened right here. So there you go, kind of side by side with Brandon Honeycutt. Yeah, I think it comes down. They're probably going to collide, but it looks like he starts coming around before those cars actually touch each other. I'm seeing maybe there could have been a little bit of some netcode come into play.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So that's it. That's caution number 2. So we're creeping closer to not being there for 3 or less on our votes right here. Of course, Coker getting the bad end of that deal right there. This race is going by pretty quickly. 53 of 80. Expecting a couple of these drivers to come down pit road, and looks like we might have a handful of takers. In fact, the whole field's coming down pit road.
So, John, I have a question for you. If you are in the back and you've pitted some time ago, right around that 30 lap mark, do you come in now, or do you try to run it out and hope for a caution at the end of the race?
I think at this point you want to get your fuel now, so you can make that decision later. If you're in the very back, okay, let's just go put tires on it. But right now, while everybody's going to come down, it's going to kind of be even playing field. You're going to restart where you were. You have the opportunity to go up and race. Man, pit road is a busy, busy place when you've got 31 cars on this racetrack. I think it's better to set yourself up to have 2 options later instead of only 1 option now. It kind of goes back to you're down 2 scores, you're down I don't know, you're down a touchdown and a field goal, so let's say you're down 11 points. And so you go for 2 instead of just kicking the extra point. And that way do you have to go score a touchdown, or does a field goal tie the game? So I kind of think the same situation here applies. And if you set yourself up to have more options later, when everybody else is gonna, for the most part, do one option, I think that's the better strategy. Or you're more in control, might I say.
Oh, exactly. You know, I think I'm one of those people, and I think Daniel might be with me on this. I would totally follow that strategy too. Let's better our options later on and see what we can do and come down pit road. I mean, you're gonna have way better. You're gonna be out with the group instead of coming in, you know, after the fact, and you're not gonna have anybody to draft with. You're just a sitting duck.
It's the worst situation ever. It happened to me so many times here at Daytona where I would leave pit road and I would have nobody to go with because I just didn't go with the pack. And let me tell you, once you're out of that draft, you're gonna be a sitting duck until that pack starts coming back around you. Fortunately, then you gotta race your way to try to get your lap back, and hopefully a caution comes out. But that's like the worst case scenario that could ever happen to you on a super speedway.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And I mean, I've won official races here by, you know, the strategy of being in the back, and when it's go time, it's go time. But when you make that move, especially in an 80 lap race, do you make it, you know, 5 laps to go? Do you wait until the last lap? I mean, what's the call there? I mean, these guys are conversating with their, you know, with their crew chiefs and spotters and trying to figure out that strategy right now.
Well, I tell you what, if any league had drivers with crew chiefs and spotters, it would be this one. You got 32 drivers, 31 drivers on track. Yeah, everybody's on track. Actually, I take that back. There's 30 drivers on track. Kirby Wayne Scott is still on pit road, damaged from earlier. So we're coming into turn 3, turn 4. Waiting for this pace car to come down pit road. And then we're going to get back to racing, coming to lap 56. Now, this isn't quite when I would say the pressure is on, but we're edging ever closer to the pressure being on and trying to get the best possible finish that you can get.
We're gonna see drivers probably stay a little calm right now on this restart. We still have a long ways to go. But once we start hitting with 15, 10 laps to go, I'm going to start expecting drivers to be a little more amped up with more anxiety, trying to get to the front, possibly going 3 wide, try to get that win. But I expect that later on with 15, 10 to go.
And you see these drivers accelerating down the front stretch side by side for the top 6. And you got a little bit of room right there. Alex Stepp trying to squeeze his way down in front of the 29 machine, I believe. That's Ivor Kohlhaas on the inside lane. And you got Phil Hales there on the outside. If I didn't misspeak, I did not misspeak. I knew I saw those numbers correctly. So in about 15 laps, I think, is when we're going to start seeing the pressure and the heat really start to set in here. At that point, we're going to be about 10 to go, and guys in the back that have been waiting for this whole race are going to start trying to come to the front, or at least I would start really thinking about coming to the front with 10 to go.
For sure. You know, and to go to your point, I haven't seen a lot of people venture up into that, what I like to call Dale Jr. line, right up against the wall, or the Kyle Larson line. They've been, you know, the outside line's been the middle to about the second lane down, and the inside line's just doing what the inside line does. Not a lot of people been hung out to dry either, as you would typically see on a super speedway.
What I noticed from these drivers tonight is they're not using that outside lane at all tonight. They're all on that inside line, and that is because I believe the inside line, you have the momentum, you have the organization, and the runs down there, especially with grip. And we've seen the outside work here and there, but it's totally different in the daytime, because in the daytime, that outside line is your friend. That inside line isn't so good. But it's the opposite here at night. So that's why you see most of the drivers on the inside line instead of using the outside line.
Oh, for sure. And, you know, I know John put up the poll earlier on how many cautions, and right now, as of that, 44% said we'd have 3 to 5 cautions. And we've only had 2, so I think 44% of our audience may be right on that. But these guys are playing, you know, minding their P's and Q's, being, you know, somewhat cautious around there. And I'm really digging some of these paint schemes, like the Michael Electric one, the number 15 car there. I'm really digging the Stars and Stripes there. I mean, that doesn't give you chills watching that 15 Napa car go around the track. What will, you know?
A lot of great paint schemes here tonight from Daytona International Speedway here on lap 59 out of 80, now on lap 60.
And it looks like the inside line, the first 3 cars are going to try to break away from the field so they can put some distance, and that's when you see some really good racing. But I would like to see some of these guys venture up to the top and get that second line going. I think that
you don't want to get too far out too, because if you get too far out with a drafting partner, you're gonna like fall all the way back, and that pack's gonna come right towards you, and they're gonna go right around you. And that is usually the plan with some of these drivers. You know, you see these 2 drivers, they have a good restart, for example, they get out maybe 2 or 3 car lengths ahead of the pack, and then all of a sudden you see that pack come out turn 2, and they're right on their bumper, they're making moves. It's a risky thing to do there. You don't want to try to force yourself all the way out, and that pack's going to gain on you.
So, Daniel, here's something interesting. So the first 6 cars are all Chevrolets, and you got your first Ford back in. Well, I take that back. Now you got the number 6 car. Andrew Tuff is moving his way up through the field. He's broke the top 5 now. He's working his way up there. I think he might have found some drafting help, or he's on the inside line, but he's right behind 2 Chevrolets. He's in a Chevrolet sandwich. He's never been surrounded more by Chevrolets than he is right now. And that's bad news if you're a Ford guy.
And don't forget, you know, these drivers, they work with their teammates on these super speedways. They work with their manufacturing teammates too. So you can see a whole row of Chevys there and a Ford literally right in front of them. And you know those Chevys are going to try to push that Ford to the back. So it's mostly Chevys up front. But that's how it usually works here at these super speedways.
I want to take a minute, guys. Sorry to cut you off, Alan. I want to take a minute. Let's go look back here towards the 16th, 17th, and 18th place positions. These guys are about 3 to 4 seconds behind the main pack.
Oh, we got a caution, John.
And we do.
The 9 car just hit the wall, and everybody had a dodging. It's a 9 car of, he was in the 9 car, John Schoenbeckler. That was really unfortunate. He was having a good run, too. He's kind of minding his P's and Q's.
He gets a little bit of help from the 44 right there. Big contact. Try to get another view of that. Let's see that again here. I want to try to watch it from the cockpit here of Ryan Coker. Yeah, it just seems like he just kind of comes down, doesn't he, from that viewpoint, and Coker just doesn't give him any space. No, well, that's going to stack these guys back up, getting ready for what'll probably be about 14, 15 laps to go here to finish this up. I think the intensity level this time is about to really be different.
Oh, it's about to be different for sure, you know. Now with the laps winding down, under 20 to go, you know it's go time for some of these drivers that have been hanging around in the back. They're going to have to try to make some moves here to get towards the front for the end of this.
Oh, You are more than correct, Daniel. Some of these guys that are riding in the back outside the top 10, they're going to start to get a little more impatient, try to make moves that they normally wouldn't make, I feel like. And the guys up front, they're just hoping another caution doesn't come out so that way they can keep on cruising. But I think with 14 to go, this might be the final pit stop. If they choose to make them, I feel like the last caution was the final pit stop. So
Yeah, a lot of the guys, it seems like a lot of guys chose not to go pitting, and a handful of guys towards the back did come down pit road, sort of what I was kind of expecting earlier. But we'll see if anyone up front decides to take it this time, but I just don't think so. I think your bed's kind of made, and especially if you're up front.
I hate to say that A
usually
word.
what-
Absolutely.
Usually what happens here, sorry to cut you off, but usually what happens here is you see the leader coming around, they're going to decide to come to pit road. Now, if the leader did come down pit road, for instance, let's say he did, I would expect most of the field to follow him. And that's because, they're going to get fresh tires. But if he stays out, the field's going to stay out for a good amount of reason. That's because they don't lose track position. And also, now the guys that you mentioned, John, that were in the back coming down pit road, it doesn't hurt to get fresh tires because, if you have the fresher tires, you're going to gain a lot more ground than the guys that are on old tires.
I can tell you right now, John, I've been watching Andrew Tuck. I watched him last night on the broadcast, and I've been watching him tonight. He's a really smart racer. I think he's going to come from the 7th position. He's going to make the right moves, get the right pushes, and I think he's probably going to take it. I'm going to call it right now. I'm going to Dale Earnhardt Jr. you guys, and tell you that Andrew Tuck is going to win this one.
I guess with there's 3 of us in here, it's a good time to start doing picks. And that also includes the 36 viewers right now. Toss out your picks. I don't care if you know who they are or don't know who they are. Look at the top 10, top 15, just look at the tower. Who's going to win? I don't care if you pick somebody in 28th, because they might win it. I've seen crazier things happen. I'm going to go with, let's see. I'm going to go with Brandon Puffenbarger. Driver the number 5 machine. He's up 19 spots. It's a Chevrolet. Currently scored in the 8th place position.
My driver I'm going to pick he's been up front for the beginning of the race. He's been controlling the race so far. But now he's currently in the top 10. He isn't leading right now, but it is the 6 of Tiff. I think he's been doing really good on the super speedways. He's been up there controlling the field for a few laps, and I feel like he's going to be there right at the end when it all counts.
So both of you guys have a Teft. That's going to be unique. We'll see how that goes, and we're going to wait for the YouTube guys to start telling us. We got other people saying, let's go Andrew and Corey. Corey, you're supposed to be driving a race car, man. I almost picked you, but this is why. You're voting for yourself. Corey Crow in the number 20 in 4th. This texting and driving. He's picking himself, folks. He's picking himself to win. And you know what? I'd pick myself to win, too, if I was sitting in 4th.
I would have to agree with you 100% on that. I mean, yeah, I would like to text, but, I don't text when I'm racing because, I could end up in the wall, but...
You got people rooting for Christensen as well.
I mean, you could eat ice cream while you're driving, I'm sure,
Listen, guys, until you've fallen asleep at the wheel and wrecked a field at Auto Club Speedway like yours truly, you haven't truly driven a race car. Back to racing with 15 remaining. Neal, Smith, Crowd, Teft, and Hales as your top 5. Still have 30 cars on track. The intensity is about to heat up. We're going to see less respect and a lot more moves. You got people saying don't text and drive, but it's not seeming to affect that number 20 machine yet. We're going to see how he does on that high side. A little trapped right there behind the 23 of Austin Smith, but he's right in line. I don't expect to see these lines get disorganized anymore, gentlemen.
No, not anymore. It's going to be every man for himself at this point.
Yeah, you're gonna have to
Like,
kind of make moves and kind of, I don't know, dodge and go back and forth. I couldn't think of the phrase. I know there's a phrase for it, but I couldn't find it in the moment. But you're gonna weave and dodge back and forth, top to bottom, to try to slowly get yourself to the front. Or do you just try to set a third line and go right up the middle, which is really hard to do here at Daytona. It's just not quite wide enough to really do 3 lanes safely like Talladega.
We've seen that happen a lot at Talladega, but we also seen it here at Daytona. Not a lot though, because like you just mentioned, John, it's not wide enough, but it does happen here, and I do see drivers that do win by creating that third line, and they just make a slingshot move and off they go to win and collect that checkered flag. So I wouldn't be surprised if that does happen, and it does pop in the driver's mind to possibly make a third line here.
I can tell you right now, John Daniel, if I'm driving that car right now, I'm bringing either a checker flag or the steering wheel.
Checker flag or the steering wheel. One way or another. Or a cell phone if you're the number 20. It's funny because I've done it.
I'm sure technically driving you get a ticket in most states.
Be tweeting when you get that checkered flag. You're like, I won the race. I'm on the last lap. You know, I'm coming out turn 4. I just want.
You know something about speeding that's interesting? You know, somebody
What?
asked Jeff Gordon once, do you speed? And he's like, no, I don't speed. And I just can't imagine being a race car driver and then getting on the highway and just doing the speed limit. I can't imagine it.
I couldn't do that. I would probably be speeding.
Yeah, I just can't imagine it. And then he goes, yeah, I just don't really want to get in trouble or get a ticket. And he said something about, well, maybe on Jeff Gordon Highway, because maybe they let me go. And that's how sort of how that interview went.
It's
Oh!
We got a wreck. 53
Oh!
car. 53.
Holy
Bill
cow,
Hayes.
that's the
22.
field. Caution number 4 is going to wipe out a large chunk of this field. Drivers are all over the place.
That was
I
a
don't-
risky move waiting to happen. I didn't expect that.
John, we're sitting here time and time again as Daytona wouldn't be Daytona without the big one. We knew it was going to happen. We knew it was going to come. It wasn't a matter of when, if. It was a matter of when.
I'm still trying to figure out really how this all kind of happened here. And I haven't quite picked it out. So we're kind of looking towards the front here. I think it's back here more so with, gosh, that's too far back. So around the Paul Shaw area. Oh, I take that back. That was really up front. There's so many things that happen right here. It's just hard to tell.
I did see the 22 go 3 wide.
We tried watching it from the viewpoint of the number 22 machine here. That's going to be Alan Dobbs, so we'll try to catch it from... There you go.
Maybe the
There's a good view.
26 car?
See all these cars torn up. The 56, the 18, the 4, the 15, the 05. Lots of torn up race machines. Lots of guys down pit road. It's going to change a lot of this race right here. You know, our
It's a
picks are
new
still
look.
there. They're all still hanging out.
Good sign.
Now, I'm telling you this right now, next weekend, or when they go to Bristol, I would probably pick the 5 car.
Next week at Bristol, it's going to be probably even worse towards the end.
What makes you
Yes.
want to pick the 5 car? Do you know something that we don't know? Insider
Oh,
trading?
You know what? Hey, Terry Labonte, Dale Earnhardt.
Is this rigged?
Kind of rematch. I wish. I know nothing about these guys, to be honest with you.
Oh,
sure
you'll
we
get to
raced
know them one Once you start broadcasting, you'll get to know them. You'll make connections with them.
You know, and something interesting right here. The top 5, aside from Alex Teft, Joshua Neal is up 26 spots. Austin Smith is up 18 spots. Braden Puffenbarger is up 23 spots. And Corey Crowell is up 18 spots. A lot of drivers that are just up a lot of positions.
Corey Crowell tweeted his way to the front.
He tweeted his way.
Tweeted his way to the front. And he's having some fun with the 23 car. Kind of bumping him along.
Well, do we want to say this ends in overtime, or we think we're gonna make it?
It's gonna go overtime.
Yeah, I would be surprised if we don't see a green-white checkered.
If we don't see a green-white checker, I'll be shocked.
Yeah, I like the intensity level and how things are going, and I would just be really surprised if we don't start seeing something like that happen.
Right.
And I mean, last night's Xfinity race, superb. You know, those guys ran a smart race too. And a lot of those guys that race in the Xfinity race are racing here tonight, and that's just a testament. It's all about seat time. That's how you get faster on the sim, is you get seat time, seat time, seat time. And the more time you put in, the more you're gonna get better at it. And I could be away for a week, and I'm the slowest guy on the track. If you're not practicing, you're falling behind.
Last one. All right, so we're getting ready to go back to racing here. It's going to be 8 laps to go. Austin Smith, Joshua Neal are going to be on the front row at that iRacing pace car leading them. Corey Crowell, Alex Teft, row 2, row 3 is Andrew Teft, Brandon Poffenberger. And there's still a great possibility that somebody from 10th on back is going to find themselves in the mix by the end of this race. This is only the 4th caution. We are paying attention to the poll. 3 to 5, 6 to 8. Most people voted on 6 to 8. And we still haven't seen enough for that. We only need 2 more in order for that to occur. But Alan, Daniel, it's time to get this party started, as we're about to watch this pace car make the left turn down pit road, because it's just not fast enough to hang with the big boys.
No, it's not.
And as Tony Trapasso used to say, Grandma, grab the popcorn, wipe the visor, pull the seatbelts tight. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime at Daytona. 8 laps to go here. These guys slowly on the throttle. Not really, it just seems slow with the sheer size of how large Daytona is. But into turn number 1, Smith and Neal side by side. Who's it gonna be out of the backstretch?
You can see a lot of these guys are making that third line, but I don't think that they're going to have any help doing it. I think you're going to have the 2 distinct lines.
Yeah, I'm not so sure if
we got another wreck.
Work out. Another wreck. So there's number 5. Let's see what happened here.
Jeremy Carter was involved, the 26 car. Seemed like it was a mid-pack wreck. Caution.
Trying to see it right here. There you go, right there. Wow. Oh, and there goes Dennis Kane, who we talked to earlier. And you know what, Daniel? He told us earlier he wants to keep his track position, stay up front, and be on attack mode. And he finds himself in the back in harm's way.
Yeah, that's where you don't want to be towards the end of the race for sure. And I remember, John, you mentioned it earlier about your strategy. You don't want to be in the back because, if a wreck does occur, you might be involved in that because you could be in the middle of the pack. But, it happens to everybody, to be honest with you. It happened to me before. You know, I was in the back of the pack with 2 laps to go. I was up to 10th place. Next thing I knew, I was out of the race. But I mean, it happens. It's super speedway racing. I know he probably is not happy right now, but you know, he's gonna have another shot at it. This isn't the only super speedway we're gonna go to.
You're
there'll
right,
be
Daniel.
more options.
Sorry to cut you off, John. You're right, though. He's going to have another shot. He's going to live to fight another battle.
Let's take one more moment here. Let's look at this racetrack and this information here. So, Daytona International Speedway is 2.48 miles in diameter. Temperature 71 degrees today. It's only 37 feet above sea level. I wonder why. It's not like it's on a beach or anything. 70 degrees outside, cloudy, a little bit windy. 11 degrees out, or 11 degrees. 11 miles per hour is the wind here. And again, this is the Racers Elite Nextgen series, and this is their season opener at Daytona. And so far, it's been a great way to open the season.
Right, you are. I'm trying not to use the A word, which is absolutely. I know John doesn't like that word.
No, you use that word where you say absolutely when you can't think of a better thing to say. It's like your brain just comes up with it while it's trying to come up with something else. I have never heard an outstanding announcer say absolutely, Jim, or Jake, or Troy, or Joe.
I'm avoiding that word. So we got 5 laps to go, and I think
this is far from over. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, you're correct. But I think that 6th car. I'm telling you, I'm gonna Dale Earnhardt Jr. my pick. I'm stick with him. I'll stick with him.
I like how you bring that up because he'd most definitely picked Ryan Blaney at the beginning of the year, and he held to it all season, and sure enough, Blaney got it done.
I'm telling you, John, I'm on team Andrew Tuft like I'm on team Tay for Monday Night Football this week.
Oh, so you're both on that Tuft train, okay.
I mean, there's plenty of room on the bandwagon, sir.
Boy.
I don't like people when y'all pick the same guy. Daniel, you need a new pick.
Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna go with.
Go with the Texter.
I'll go with him.
All right, so now Daniel Paulus, you don't have to go with him, but you can. He's rooting on himself, and if you're rooting on him, that's 2 people rooting for number 20, Corey Crowd. Does that mean there's enough juju in the air to get this done?
You can go ahead. I was just waiting.
Oh, I was gonna say you're gonna find out real soon.
Yeah, we're come to 4 to go, and I just don't. I don't know, guys. I don't think we're gonna get to the white flag.
I am going to predict something. I've never done this before, but I'm going to predict right now. We're going to get the green flag. We're going to come out of turn 4. We're going to wreck before travel, and that causes your overtime. Just my prediction. But you never know.
Well, I mean, I don't know if what you said is a prediction. I think it just is an occurrence naturally at this racetrack. To be honest with you. I'm sure these guys would like to know what's about to happen next.
Oh, I'm sure they're locked in their office right now. Like, that cockpit is their office. They're like, I don't care about any other driver around me. I just want to win.
Well, that's the whole point of it, because anybody can win at Daytona. Daytona, Talladega is a great equalizer.
Now, I know there's 2 Tefts in the field. Sorry, I know there's 2 Tefts in the field. So if one Teft beats the other in this race, does that make Thanksgiving dinner awkward?
I'm thinking that it might, considering that Sarah Smile is telling the other Teft to move out of the way because Andrew's going to win. So we're going to find out how this goes. Here we go, folks. 4 laps remaining here at Daytona International Speedway. Things are about to get wild, and we're going to see it right as we come onto the backstretch, because that's about when these cars are getting up to speed. Looking a little bit further back here into the pack, the moves are going to have to start back here. These guys can't sit back here for long if they're going to win this thing.
Looks
Right
like
there,
the
you got
82 cars out front.
at 82, that's Joshua Neal out front. So far, 2 lines starting to stack
Oh,
up.
wow.
Still so far, so good. People are looking. Is someone going to go with me? No, yes, no. Starting to get closer. Side drafting needs to start coming into play here. Big wiggle right there from Alex Teft. This is where things are getting intense. 3 laps remaining.
We got caution.
I see it. They're spinning in the back.
Ryan Coker.
We're getting used to
Overtime.
calling his name, actually. Try to see what happened here.
Daniel, you got your green white checker.
Yeah, I expected it. I expected it to happen, and this is
Yeah.
the great thing about green white checkers. You know,
I'm going
the
to back this up
anxiety
again.
all ramps up. Throw your marbles in the middle of the table. Throw your stack of cards in the middle of the table, because honestly, I don't even know what's going to happen anymore, because you know everybody's going to be on a rampage just trying to get to the white flag and win this race.
It's just another case right here of, Ryan Coker, he didn't notice another car. And I don't like to call drivers out. It has happened a couple times. It just seems like he didn't notice a car at some point, and once was netcode, but that time he didn't see him.
It looked like he came down a little bit to block, but I don't know if he didn't see him there, but that's like a full quarter panel.
I definitely don't think he was blocking.
I think he was just trying to fill the gap, and the gap closed too fast.
I agree with both of you. I don't think he was blocking per se. I just think that it just comes with inexperience and track awareness. You got to be aware of what's going on around you, especially on super speedways.
It's hard on super speedways. You know, if you see a hole open and there's a gap like of a car length, and you're trying to get in there, it's just hard, because you know you could be, let's say you're on the turn 2, you're coming out of turn 2, you're going down the back straightaway, you're about to go to the inside, you see a hole there, you're going to the inside, you're looking in your mirror, you're good to go, but then you look again and he's literally right there, and it's just too late to fill that gap. And unfortunately, I think that's what happened here after 44.
Yeah, to your point, Daniel. I mean, we are within the 3 laps, 2 laps to go. You're just trying to get all the positions you can. You know he's not going to win the race, but he's trying to start off the season with a good place in points, and that's where you start to do things you normally would not otherwise do.
Right. And it's nice to get a win. You know, it's the first race of the season. You get all that pressure put off your chest. You got to win on your resume in the new season. Okay, so you got the win. Unfortunately, if you don't get a win, you're aiming to get a top 3, top 5, top 10, even a top 15. Anything below that, I would be like, wasn't our day. But you know, you want to try to get as many positions as possible, because every position you finish, you get more points for that position. So you just want to try to finish out strong, even though you don't get the win.
Well, we see it time and time again, where 1 or 2 positions on track is a difference from making the cut or not making the cut. And I feel like in every season there's just one point that you as a driver are like, I'm not gonna chase him down, or I tried and I almost
Mhm.
wrecked the car. So I'm just going to sit here. And it just kind of leaves you to wonder what could have been. Because at the same time, when you're going for every position, you also risk making a mistake, losing numerous positions, and you can put yourself really in a worse situation if you're not careful. But you're right. You have to you have to get everything you can get when you can get it.
And I want to add on to what you were talking about there, John. Is these drivers when they're up there, like you said, they're risking to potentially wreck themselves out, and that is not what you want to do. Because if you wreck yourself out before the start finish line, you're not going to have a good points day at all. So you worked so hard to get up there, and you are risking it to potentially get the lead, even though it doesn't look like you're going to get the lead, and you wreck out. That is what you're trying not to do. And unfortunately, I've seen drivers do that, and then when we interview them, they're like, man, I wish I could go back and change my style of racing, what I did. They said, I heard drivers say this a lot. They're like, I wish I just stayed back in second place. I'd rather stay in second, finish second, instead of wrecking myself out. And I felt bad for them, but you just don't think about that when you're racing in overtime.
No, overtime is overtime. I mean, you once you get that green white checker, you're gonna do things that you normally would not do. To your guys' point, and sometimes when you're not even in the top 5, you just gotta take what you can get. You might think early in the night you got a car to win, but then once you get through the race, you start realizing it's like maybe I don't have a car to win. Maybe I got a top 10 car, maybe a top 15. So there's no wrong. There's nothing wrong with laying back either.
I truly believe that sometimes you just get your car is slightly better or slightly worse than everybody else's in iRacing. I've heard many people say, no, that's not the case. But, I've definitely shown up at some tracks where I'm like, I should not have the speed that I have right now. And just straight up, and I'm like, there's no way I should be as fast as I am and as competitive. But, yeah, you never know. Maybe when you're on it, you're on it. But it's showtime, boys. We're coming to 2 laps to go at Daytona. Are we going to settle it this time? We've had 6 cautions. Will we have more, or is this going to be it? Time will tell. Coming into the restart zone, Teft and Neal, Puffenbacher, Austin Smith, Andrew Teft. That's the top 5. Not really a great restart. Everybody's quite spread out in the front here. I'm not sure how that's going to bode for these guys into turn number 1.
6 car has no help there in the 5th position.
Yeah, no help.
No
Still going to take a couple moments to get organized right here. But this is when things happen, is when you get these giant gaps and you get a freight train coming. And this is how we might see that 3rd line any minute now. Side by side into turn number 3. We might make it to the start-finish line at this rate.
Whoa.
That thing's getting squirrely back here in the back. Some dodging and close calls.
Oh.
Everyone's back and forth. White flag is out. Next flag. Here we go, folks. Things are getting real crazy. Wrecking in the back.
We're going to keep it green here. Let's see.
Yeah, we're going to keep on racing right up here up front. Remember, this is virtual. We'll have to go back and try to see what happens, but we've still got 20 cars trying to win this thing. Joshua Neal up front.
It's not over. It could be anybody's race here. Anybody in the top 10 could win here. We're only on the back straightaways. You see that inside line getting a heavy push there.
There you go. You got Puffenberger, Teft right there behind that 82. Which one's going to pull out to make a move first? One of them's got to go soon. Can't wait too much longer. Got to make a move. There we go. Teft.
Oh, this is going to be dead even.
Oh, look at that. Oh, no, the winner and everybody's going around. I'm showing Alex Teft and the number 43 as your winner. Joshua Neal, Brandon Puffenbarger, Andrew Teft, and Austin Smith, your top 5. We're going to try to take a moment. I want to go back and watch that white flag one more time. Because that was fairly intense, I feel like.
We're up in the booth and that wore me out this time.
So here we are coming to the white flag. try to watch this from the back here more so. There it goes. It's the 05 who got turned. That's what started the issues in the back. Lots of damaged race cars in the back. Moving back up towards the front. We saw kind of what happened here. And then there's kind of starburst coming out of turn number 4. Really no drafting at all at that point. But you see these 3 guys all hooked up. I think Puffenberger is trying to push so he can get in front of the 23, but the lane's just not there for him. I mean, if it was right there, that could have been an opportunity for him to pull out. But there you go, the wiggle right there on the 43, the 82, and sideways coming down to the line. 43 won it. Alex Teff, Joshua Neal. It was by 700ths of a second. About half a car. Really good racing.
That was spectacular.
Well, so what we're going to have to do next, and we probably missed some burnouts because we were wanting to re-show that insane last lap. And unfortunately, there's no cars on track, so I'm just going to keep that last lap kind of on replay for us because there's nothing to watch on the screen once all the cars go in. So what we can do now is there's 3 of us here on the booth. We got our top 3 finishers. We definitely want to talk to all 3 of them. And we normally, it kind of depends, but let's go ahead and pull the race winner in to the booth right here. Joining us now, race winner Alex Teft. Alex, tell us how you did it. Were you expecting something like this to happen, and were you quite nervous coming out of turn number 4?
I was just really hoping to stick to the bottom, and just kind of gave it away last night when I decided to pull a block on the outside. So just really committed to my line, and just what happened, well, got a big shot from Brandon from behind, got me squirrely, then I got into the back of the 82, got him squirrely, but that gave me enough separation to get to the outside of him and drag him back.
Couldn't have explained it better than myself. That was one of the things that I noticed was that you all 3 of you guys were connected right up, and then like you said, you got squirrely, and then all 3 of y'all got all messed up, and there just was enough gap between the cars behind y'all that it was just a battle between you 3, and it worked out for you. So congratulations on winning race number 1 in the Nextgen series. Should any of these drivers or fans expect you to be racing on Thanksgiving, or do you think you're going to sit that one out?
Depends on how the meal goes, if I can, stay awake or not.
Yeah, did you know that turkey actually puts you to sleep? There's a scientific thing about that.
Yes, I've heard.
But all right, Alex, congratulations on the win. Anyone you want to mention or thank before we send you on back?
Definitely want to thank you guys over to Sim Racing Media for putting on the shows every week. Thank the league, Races Elite. This is actually good turnout. Probably, definitely best turnout we've had for this series so far. And it was the cleanest race of the week, so definitely happy about that. And thank my girlfriend and my friends that tune in and watch all the time.
We definitely had a lot of viewers. Well, enjoy this one, and we'll be talking to you either next week or the week after that.
Good.
All right, guys, so there's a couple more of you in here, so we're going to let Daniel, I'm going to pull Joshua Neal in. Now, notice that he did a lot of leading in this race, and it didn't work out for him. But now joining us in the booth, finishing P2, driver the number 82, Joshua Neal, is with Daniel Paulus now.
Hey, Joshua, you got a copy?
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How was the race for you tonight?
It was pretty good. It was a lot of fun. Played it safe there the first half, and then worked with my teammates there the second half, and got a good finish out of it.
Oh, I'm glad we're enjoying it tonight. We sure were enjoying it up here in the booth. It was great racing. What do you think you could have done better to put yourself in place to win tonight's race? Because we know you were leading up there towards the front early on this race.
Well, I was working with my teammates Austin and Corey there, and they pushed me far enough where I could get down in front of Alex, but then they lost all their help. So then, I didn't have help, and I knew he wasn't going to lift, and he made a good move coming off of four, going into the oval, got me a little loose, and he was able to make the pass. Brandon helped him out, and it was good racing, a lot of fun.
Well, now that we pushed Daytona to the side, Daytona's over first race in the books. Now we are heading to one of the shortest tracks on the schedule, Bristol Motor Speedway. What are your expectations going into Bristol, and are you ready to take on the challenge there?
I am not a short track driver. I think they're fun. I'm just not very good at them. But I think tempers are going to flare there as well, just like a super speedway. Still should be a good time though. There's a lot of respectful drivers in this league, so should be a good show.
All right. Thank you, Joshua. Having a great night tonight at Daytona Speedway, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
And Joshua, now's your time to go ahead and to mention anyone you'd like to mention as well.
I would like to thank SRM, of course. You guys always put on a great show. Racers are Elite, again, one of the best leagues out there. And Midwest Motorsports, my teammates, for all the help that they give me.
Joshua, are you one of them out of Michigan?
I am not out of Michigan. I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Oh, okay, you're Fort Wayne. Okay, gotcha. And so I'm in North Michigan, and I noticed a couple Michiganders here. So
Right.
how about that? I hope you enjoy your night, sir. We'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you.
All right, we got one more to bring in. My pick, he finished P3. We're going to let our special guest, Alan, take care of him. And joining us now in the booth is going to be Brandon Puffenbarger? Yes or no?
Yes.
That's how I say it? Okay.
Brandon, what is up, my friend? What is up? That was a good run. What could you have done different to get by those guys? Was it maybe the lack of the help there? What was going through your mind as you were running P3 and you see that big wreck at the last lap happen in front of you?
I was just trying to figure out how. Well, right before we took the green for the last green white checker, I sent Alex a message and I told him I'm not leaving your bumper. So I was trying to figure out how we could get by those other four that were working together. Well, three that were working together because they were up front for the last 30-ish laps. So I was just trying to see how we could get around those guys.
Yeah, now that you got Daytona over with and the series is going to go to Bristol Motor Speedway, what's your mindset going on to Bristol? Do you do anything different? Do you change up your driving style? So what's your mindset, I think, the viewers want to know?
For Bristol, kind of just got to mind your own business. Try to, at least. For me, I try to stay towards the front for Bristol because in the back you got all the bigger checkups and stuff like that. But if you can try to stay in the top 10 for Bristol, it'll be an easier race for if someone can stay up there.
Well, Brandon, I'd like to congratulate you on your P3 finish. Is there anybody that you would like to thank that helped you get you to this point?
Just Andrew and all the guys for putting this on. You guys for broadcasting, and just all the guys for coming out. It's a lot of fun racing with those guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, your third place finisher tonight, Brandon Puffenberg. Good luck at Bristol, and we'll see you on down the road, sir.
10-4.
Well, now that was an excellent race. Alan, thanks for joining us for this event. We were hoping to see how you would do, and I think you're on your way. And so special guest, and these guys got 3 in the booth for the first time, and I know that it made a difference with the viewers. There's only one thing left to do here. We're going to go through the final results. We're going to kind of do this together. I'm going to do the first 10. Daniel, you'll take the next 10, and we'll let Alan finish it off. So Alex Teft gets the victory. It's not the Teft that's, I believe, Sarah Smile wanted, but it is a Teft, and not somebody that any of us expected to win the race. So we had something different happen. Joshua Neal, leading most of the laps tonight, just finishes just short. Brandon Puffenbarger, my pick, finishes P3. Fourth is Andrew Teft. Fifth belongs to Austin Smith. Sixth is Paul Shaw. Seventh is Kinsley Smith. Eighth belongs to Lucas Seamers. Ninth is the texter Corey Crowell, up 15 spots on his evening. Coming home, 10th place is AJ Cawthon. Daniel, go ahead.
Rounding out your top 10, we have Brandon Honeycutt finishing 11th. Right behind him in 12th place is Jason Bonhams. 13th, John Schoenbulcher.
Call him
14th, we
Schoenbachler.
have Bachler, yeah. 14th, we have Thomas Stanley. 15th, David Ng. 16th, Michael Smith. 17th, Jeremy Carter. And 18th, Iron Kohlhaas.
Yeah, 19th is Dwayne McMahon and Ryan Coker. Alan, go ahead.
And rounding out your last 10 starters in 20th, you got Ryan Coker, Brad Hayes in the 27 car, finishing 21st. 22nd went to Gordon Spain. Sam Colahas went 23rd. 24th went to Alan Dobbs. Noah Tansman finished 25th. Dennis Kane didn't have the night he was looking for back there in 26th. Nigel Christensen, I feel like I caught up in an earlier wreck. Truth Hokie finishes at 28th. 29th goes to Diego Rodriguez. Bill Hayes finishes in the 30th position. Kirby Wainscott finishes 31st. And
That's our
rounding out
field.
your field. What's that?
Yeah, that is our field. Final car, Zach Lockett, I believe, is race control. So excellent racing here tonight. Thanks for joining us, folks. I had a great time, and those that participated in the chat. We had fun hanging out with you guys on this Thursday evening. It's 9:30 Eastern. It's 9:30 in the Midwest for half of it, and it's 8:30 for the other half of the Midwest, depending which side that you're on. Want to thank my two partners tonight. You got Alan here, Alan Bergen, and you've got Daniel Paulus Jr. My name's Jonathan Leach with Sim Racing Media. We're going to wrap this show up tonight. Looking forward to seeing you next week. You can catch some more action here Saturday evening with the ISNF Cup Series. As Tony Trapasso would say, a legend in his own right. We lost another legend in Ken Squire today. Tony was very similar to him. I didn't realize it. He got a lot of his ways that he said things on iRacing broadcasting for us from him. And he would always close out a show by saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, as you walk through life, please do not play in traffic. Good night. We'll see you next time. Thanks again."